Hey everyone, and welcome to another ProGuides TFT video. Today we're going to be talking about patch 10.8's prevalent comps and why they've been so successful. Make sure to play these comps when you can and get to the highest rank you can until 10.9. As with every top comps list, getting the top comp will not guarantee you first place, but it will give you a high enough chance for a top 4 finish. We also tried to include comps that are specifically unique to patch 10.8, not the whole of set 3 so far. So if you don't see the mech infiltrators or rebels here, that's normal. Positioning, items, and scouting are still your most important tools in this game, working together with your comp in order to give you that shiny first place. Before we dive in though, make sure to check out the link in the description and get to see all the content we'll be uploading for you guys, created by the top challenger players around the world to get you better and hit that first place in your games. We recently launched TFT coaching as well on ProGuides.com with really active and awesome coaches, one click away from helping you climb that ladder. So we will see you there. Alright, with all that said, let's dive right into our top comp for 10.8, and it's none other than E-Girls. Yeah, you heard that right. Our lovely Star Guardians received buffs in 10.8 in their 6-piece comp, with Syndra receiving a buff in attack range and 3-star ult damage. Star Guardian Sorcerers, which is technically the comp's full name, is a reroll comp with 2 main 3-star carries in Syndra and Nico. If uncontested, you often end up 3-starring Ahri as well, who with no items or just one still does a lot of work. Starting with playstyle, Star Guardians is a reroll comp, and as such, it aims at fast level 7 and slow rolling to get your 3-cost carries, Syndra and Nico. In reality, you often have to roll a bit in level 6 to either get ahead of people contesting you or to stave off bleeding HP because your Syndra is level 1 and is dying because things are breathing on her. When at level 7, your comp should look like this. Poppy and Nico in the front line, Zoe and Lux in the corners for hook bait, and Syndra, Soraka, and Ahri interspersed in the back line, protecting one another. It's important that you try to position your Syndra away from diving infiltrators and, of course, Zephyr attempts by your opponents. If you get a Star Guardian spat, or somehow end up getting to level 9, you can add Vel'Koz or Xerath and get 6 sorcerers as well. Looking at items for this comp, Seraph's Embrace is a must. If you don't have it relatively early, do not attempt this, as other people who have it will get ahead of you in HP and beat you in a war of attrition. Syndra synergizes ridiculously well with Seraphs, and her best in slot items are 1 or 2 Seraphs and 1 or 2 defensive items respectively, like Trap Claw, Guardian Angel, or QSS. Death Cap is also interesting on Syndra, but definitely not a necessity, as her ultimate does tons of damage on its own. Nico is the other unit you definitely want to stack with items, and she is a lot more flexible. She can use GA, Ionic Spark, and QSS really well, especially since then you don't have to worry about pesky Zephyrs on your front line. GA lets her often cast 2 or 3 times, even though it resets aggro after she dies the first time. ZZ Rot Portal is quite good for the early game, as well as providing a sticky front line, similar to GA when Nico dies. Other items that are excellent with the comp in general include Chalice of Favor, which can go on Syndra or Ahri and give mana to everyone around them. And that's it about Star Guardians. Remember, the comp is extremely popular right now, so it is hard to play steadily, and on top of that, the reliance on multiple tiers makes it even harder. So here's a final tip for you. If you find yourself contested, try to focus on one of the 2 carries and 3-star that one, focusing items on that one as well. You'll be better positioned to stay alive until your opponent's contesting you die first. The next comp we're going to showcase is Dark Star. The comp focuses on getting the 6-piece Dark Star trait going, stacking items on 2 carries, and letting the Dark Star on death buff do the rest. The interesting aspect of Dark Star is that it does not necessarily rely on 3-starring units, which makes it possible and quite reliable even when played contested. Of course, getting a 3-star Shaco will definitely not hurt your chances of getting that first place. Starting with playstyle, you'll usually start with Vanguards, Jace especially, and use that 4 Vanguards as you fast level to 8 to do your roll down at stage 4-3. Remember, you only do that if you're healthy. If you're losing a lot, besides the initial beneficial loss streak, you will have to roll down to 30 or 20 gold until you stabilize. At level 8, your comp should look like this after your roll down. Mordekaiser, Jarvan are your basic frontliners, with Jhin, Ashe, Shaco, Lux, and Karma chilling in the backline. Shaco positioning is really important to ensure he does not die early or get Zephyred, so be careful. If you get a Dark Star spat, you should probably put it on Ashe. giving her some extra damage and adding another Darkstar unit to buff your carries. Let's look at the items for Darkstar next. We have to stack Shaco in this comp. However, unlike mech infiltrators, he gets so much damage from dying Darkstars that Infinity Edge is not in the core item list. You need a GA and a Bloodthirster on him for massive amounts of lifesteal and aggro reset. If for some reason you cannot find a Bloodthirster but found a Gunblade, that's okay too. Finally, a QSS is probably the best third item to make sure those pesky Lulus and Zephyrs don't hurt your chances. Don't be afraid to throw some tank items on Jhin since he will be getting a lot of damage anyway. An honorable mention item is ZZ Rot Portal on Mordekaiser, as it gives him some tankiness and also provides another frontline target, giving more time to Jhin and Shaco to obliterate the enemy team. Darkstar is quite contested as well, but don't be afraid to go for it for two reasons. First, it is relatively okay with being contested, as you mostly need 2-star units, with 3 stars being a luxury. Secondly, it's a transition comp, not something you usually start early with. As such, you can pivot to something else if you don't see the units you need, or see 5 other people going Darkstar in your lobby. Our final comp in this showcase is actually 3 comps. We are, of course, talking about Kale and friends. We know there are other comps that could go in this third position, but we opted to showcase one of the newer ones over Cybernetics, for example. Kale has seen tremendous rise in play after the BladeMaster buff, and how strong she is in the Lilac Galaxy. The point to Kale comps is to set up a single carry comp, trying to protect and buff her at all costs. The best variation is the 4 Chrono Kale with 3 Cybernetics at level 9. The point is to buff Kale's attack speed as much as possible, while giving her BladeMaster buff and multiple units to fly around the map, taking the focus away from her. There's also 6 BladeMasters Kale and Brawler Kale, which are decent but fairly inferior variations that will usually net you 3rd or 4th at best. As far as playstyle is concerned, Kale comps are a fast level 8 style. You try to get your 3 BladeMasters early and use Xayah as an item carrier for Kale. You can use Celestials early and even slot them into the final comp before level 9, where Cybernetics are definitely the better option. The strong point of this comp is that it has a very strong mid game if you get Kale early enough. Thus, you are usually quite healthy going into late game and should push your advantage with leveling and fleshing out the final comp, which looks like this. You'll notice a lot of utility units like Ezreal and Blitz, frontliners like Vi and Shen, and off carries like Echo and Aurelia. Weave these units into your comp, give some items to the Cybers after you stack your Kale, and you should be doing great. Speaking of items, Kale is very straightforward. He likes Guinsoo's and Guardian Angel best, and the 3rd slot can go to either Hand of Justice or a Rapid Fire Cannon, which are equally good. If you have neither, Morelos is a decent final option. The rest of the item distribution is fairly simple. You want to put 1 AD item on Aurelia, 1 tank item on Vi, and 1 AP item on Echo, in an ideal situation. Obviously, you could stack one of them since the 3 Cybers buff is not that strong if you get 3 items of one type. A 2-star Echo or Aurelia with 2 to 3 decent items is not really an off carry, but a bona fide second carry at that point. Kale comps are usually contested in Lilac Galaxy, since the person who gets the Kale will usually go for a Kale comp. Since Kale 3-star is both hard to get and not particularly impressive, being contested with a Kale comp is fine, so it's a relatively safe comp for ranking up. You should definitely give it a try and look at all the different variations you can use with it, like slotting in Celestials. Alright, that's it for this video. We will be uploading every week on Wednesday and Friday. Thanks so much for watching, and make sure to check out our TFT content on YouTube and our high elo coaches on ProGuides.com. If you have feedback for us, comment below, and we'll be happy to read what you have to say. Until then, good luck with your grind, and we'll see you guys on the Rift.